Hello, my name is Andrew Beckton. I am the principal at Tennyson Middle School here in Waco ISD, and today we're going to be discussing some of our upcoming campus goals for the 2024-2025 school year. Now, before we can really establish any goals, we have to base them off of hard numbers. We need to base them off of our data, and every bit of data can tell us a story. It basically tells us things that we are doing well in and areas that we can improve in. So what story rather does our data tell us? Well, for the purposes of this presentation and this discussion, and of course there are many data points that we could go from, but for the goals that we've chosen to introduce for this school year, we are focusing primarily on data that is related to our STAR scores and even more pinpointed to our math scores. And so what we're looking at right here is the state scores for the 23 STAR test. And if you can notice in that column there, we compare that to our own campus. So a little bit of a discrepancy when we judge them by the state level. We can see that we are not quite where we want to be. And so when it comes to, for example, meeting grade level or above, we sit at about a 30%, and that's about 13 points lower than the state average. And that's kind of that middle ground is kind of where we are wanting to start with our goals. And so with that said, we're going to go ahead and discuss what kind of goal in particular can we look at, especially in regards to this data. So here we go. Now, our main goal, and I am going to read this verbatim, but I will expand on this, but one of our main goals, and we have multiple goals, but for the purposes of this discussion, we're focusing in and we're kind of honing in on one goal in particular, and that would be, as it says here, Goal 1, Tennyson Middle School will increase the percentage of students meeting grade level in mathematics on the STAR assessment from 30% in 2024 to at least 50% in May of 2025 by implementing targeted small group instruction, providing after-school math interventions, and using regular progress monitoring, that would be our formative evaluations, to address the needs of economically disadvantaged students and other at-risk learners. So we are honing in not only on our primary group. If I were to go back for just a moment, we're not only honing in on all of our students, but we are also taking into account some of our subgroups, such as our African American population and our economically disadvantaged population. And we will come back and discuss those subgroups a little bit later in this presentation. So moving forward, this is our main goal. As we see, we want to see a great leap here, 20% leap if possible, to hit that 50% mark, which would actually put us above the state average from the previous STAR test. So with that in mind, we're going to go through this goal. Of course, every goal that we establish needs to have objectives. This is kind of the plan, and we have sort of a four-pronged approach that we're going to be using as we are navigating through Goal 1. So we'll go through each objective and we'll discuss the benefits of each objective, and we'll be talking in a little more detail about that. In fact, we'll be going over two objectives, rather. I'm sorry, I apologize. We have two objectives here. Each objective has their own parts, and the first objective will have 4 parts, sort of a four-pronged attack, and the second objective will have 3 parts. So I hope I didn't confuse anybody, but here we are. We're going to discuss our first objective being to basically go back to the basics. We want to strengthen our core classroom math instruction. And so if we look at this from broader terms and we want to talk about strategies and ways to do this, I mean, we want to offer ongoing hands-on PD sessions that are going to keep our teachers growing all year long. I think that should be a primary goal for any admin or for any district is really to work on their teachers, and it has that trickle-down effect. So we're going to focus hopefully on what actually works, looking for evidence-based teaching strategies, these things that can boost student learning, and of course we're going to use student data to plan these targeted small group lessons, and then make whatever adjustments to the instructions in real time, whatever we need to do in order to keep the ball rolling there. Teachers, of course, can always help each other out by sharing, practical classroom ideas that make, math lessons more fun, engaging, meaningful. But ultimately, we're going to keep the spotlight on student success to help every learner improve and achieve at a higher level. If we move over to the formative and summative evaluations, of course, we need to be able to evaluate our efforts. How are we doing in these areas? And so, traditionally with teachers, we're going to use our admin walkthroughs, our teacher surveys, feedback sessions. We're going to see what's working right, maybe what isn't working as good, and sort of trim any fat that we need to. Of course, we'll be collecting real-time insights on how instructional strategies are being used in the classrooms, track teacher growth and confidence, which is a big thing that we need to have teachers who are confident in what they're doing. And so we'll track those things throughout the year through our ongoing conversations and observations. And then on the summative side of evaluations, of course, at the end of the year we'll review the STAR math results, and you'll probably see this being a recurring theme for each objective. We'll have summative evaluations generally hinging on the STAR results. And of course, we use that data to see how well our professional development efforts are, and if we need to make any changes there. So that is the first objective that we're looking at, 1.1. Now let's move along to the second step in objective 1. And again, in staying in that vein, we're going to implement weekly PLCs. Holding these structured weekly PLC meetings for all math teachers just allows them to work together to review student data, spotting any learning trends or even any gaps. It allows them to share ideas with each other, strategies, best practices that are making a difference in the classroom. Anytime you have collab, it just helps to improve the lesson plans in general, and it kind of keeps the focus on the continuous improvement and of course, hopefully student success. So formatively, when we look at the evaluations here, it really helps to keep those minutes in your PLCs, or have a structured agenda. Of course, updating those lesson plans, and this kind of gives the evidence of collaboration within the department and documents, how teachers are adjusting their instruction based on what our live data is showing us. Summatively, again, going back to the STAR test, and just see if more students are meeting that grade level expectation, and of course using those results to measure the impact of these PLC teamwork meetings, and so just holding on to that information and using it productively. Objective 1.3, again, we're going to run check-ins every 3 weeks just to see how students are doing, and of course we're going to have more tests like our campus benchmarks, our map test, of course, now that we're using, and any other adaptive tools. I think iExcel is great. It allows for kind of a fuller picture and gives us that quick data analytics that we can run through because we can review those results quickly to kind of spot, hey, what do we need to reteach, or who do we need to reteach, and what practice can we give that person. We'll adjust these small groups and lesson plans based on what that data shows us, and that also allows us to track growth over time. And so again, these things are very important. Now again, formatively, when it comes to evaluating these things, we'll review the progress monitoring data and student performance reports, that we can generate from these different things like iExcel or Eduphoria or any of those. And of course, again, at the summative side, we have the STAR test that helps us to kind of validate the impact of these programs that we're using in the process. As we look more on the demographic side of things, again, we wanted to take a moment to sort of target a certain group that we were discussing. So we have our African American students who, as we mentioned earlier, were underperforming in comparison to some of the other demographics within the district. And so we wanted to really target and help support our African American students and make them, allow them rather, to grow academically and to see those results. And so the objective, objective 2.1, which is to provide targeted interventions for African American students, at-risk students, and economically disadvantaged students. And so we're going to kind of combine these two objectives, or at least I should say we have 4 parts to this objective. And so we're going to combine the first 2 on a slide, and then of course we will talk about the last 2 on the next slide. So again, when it comes to strategies, it kind of helps to be preemptive. And so we want to give pre-assessments at the beginning of the year, and this is across the board for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and that's going to kind of determine where they're at on the totem pole, just sort of their ability and what their strengths are, weaknesses, and then from there, we're going to take those hard numbers. Anybody who makes below 50%, they're going to be identified for future intervention. The student's going to need to be placed in these smaller groups, or whatever course we think is necessary. So again, we're looking at the data, the assessment data. We use DMAC here, and so DMAC is really good at desegregating this data, allowing us to view it, by demographic, and so we will be able to sort of pinpoint the students who are going to need that additional support. We also see in 2.2 that we can go by the previous year's Math STAR test. And so whenever we go by that information, it sort of becomes a baseline for the year. And okay, we're going to go through this info. We're going to see which of our African American students are struggling and what's the best way for us to support them. And so we'll be putting them in those math intervention classes throughout the school year. And of course, that assessment data goes into the DMAC for further desegregation and review throughout the school year. So if we give a benchmark later in the year, we'll be able to say, okay, where are we improving? Are we even improving? And again, programs like DMAC help us to sort of make that determination. Next, for objective 2.3 and 2.4, 2.3 again is kind of this extension of 2.2, where we are engaging students in these smaller groups, according to demographic and ability. They're going to be receiving, maybe a few more formative projects and assessments within their group throughout the year, and that allows hopefully for some growth there, some kind of getting your hands dirty, and allowing for teachers to be able to pinpoint the weaknesses and help students out the best they can. For 2.4, the last objective, this is really where we get community buy-in. We want our parents to be just as engaged. And so the goal is to really hone in on our African American students, as well as the at-risk, economically disadvantaged students, and just sort of kind of rope them in, try to bring them in some sort of community effort. A few ideas that we've tossed around is something called Math Matters at Home, and it's sort of a meeting at the school where we teach parents simple strategies to reinforce math skills with, everyday items. And that kind of allows parents to have some say-so and to really help our students. We also have something called Family Math and Game Night, And the purpose of this, again, is to build confidence, but through activities that require math or games that would require math. And so that's kind of a fun way to allow our students to, and parents really, to get involved and have some fun while they're doing it. We do want this to be fun. We also have an idea floating around called Tech Tools for Math Help. This would be a workshop, again, that allows parents, kind of lets us, the teachers, show parents how to access online supports. Again, going back to programs like iExcel that kids can actually do at home on their devices, and parents kind of playing a role in making sure their kids can access that and use that at school, or excuse me, at home. So yes, we're super excited about this year. Looking forward to making these things realities, and hopefully having the support of not only those within the district, but the parents as well. So very excited about this. Hopefully we're going to see some improvement in our math scores. So thank you so much for your time.